Hello, I just went and saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and I was pleasantly surprised, I'd say. I don't know, I've never seen a Lee Cronin film before, as far as I'm aware. I think the only things that I really know that he's made is like the most recent like Evil Dead movies, and I haven't seen any of those. I've only seen like original like Sam Raimi Evil Dead movies. I haven't seen any of the like remakes or the new stuff that they're doing. So I didn't know what to expect from him as a director, and then like given from the trailers, I kind of had a general idea like what this film was going to be about. It seemed like it was sort of like The Mummy mixed with like The Exorcist, but it was like a new take on the Mummy. So I was kind of intrigued by that. Haven't really seen any of like Universal's new like Dark Universe movies. I mean, technically speaking, there's only like two previous ones, and we don't talk about that. Mummy. Well, I have seen that Mummy actually. A garbage fucking movie. But like the Tom Cruise one, I've seen that shit show of a story Mummy movie. But I haven't seen Lee Winnell's Invisible Man. It looks interesting. I know that it's like a new take on the Invisible Man, but I've actually never even seen the original like Universal Studios Invisible Man movie. I have seen the original like Universal Studios The Mummy movie. What has been like God, I was probably like maybe 6 years old when I saw that movie last time around. Like I was fucking young. Like I haven't seen any of the like Universal classic monster movies in fucking forever. I have fairly recently watched the 1999 Mummy movie because I love that movie. Although I was a little bit late to that game, I didn't actually watch that movie for the first time until the first time I went to Universal Studios Hollywood and rode the Mummy ride, and I was like, I need to know what this movie is, and I fucking loved it. So there's that. But I was sort of like intrigued to see what this movie was. Like it's very much a new take on the Mummy. It sort of takes like the idea of like a horror movie with a mummy and sort of adds its own spin onto it. I think there's definitely like things that they, I mean, I can't really speak for like the original because like I haven't seen it in so long, but there are definitely things here and there that it seems like they kind of take from like possibly the 1999 Mummy. Like there's a lot of use of like animals and specifically coyotes just because they're in New Mexico, but like animals and birds and like the essentially like sand dust storms, which I think is really interesting. Like the first storm that rolls around after Katie gets kidnapped, I was like, oh my god, it's Imhotep. He's coming. The plagues are coming. But it's very much a different take. Like it's less on a sort of like priest that went rogue to like an actual legit like demon in a way. And so I was very intrigued with that. Like I have very little gripes about this movie. My one gripe, which sort of delves into my second gripe, is that this movie is just it's very long. They're usually my sweet spot for horror movies is like an hour and a half. Like a good hour and a half is like a nice length for a horror movie. If it's longer than an hour and a half, like it needs to have a reason for it. I don't know why, but the one movie that I'm thinking of that's way longer than an hour and a half, it's Midsummer, and I fucking love that movie. And I think in a way, like part of it is just that it's a very beautiful film, but I think it stems from it could also be the fact that one of the actors in Midsummer is also in this movie, but like it stems from the fact that with Midsummer, it's like it draws on a way that doesn't make it feel like it's too long. Like it's the right amount of like sitting with the cult that you're in, and sort of like like you're sitting with Danny and slowly going like, what the fuck is happening with her? And in this one, it was like the beginning was pretty good, like lead up to Katie going missing, and then I think it delves too long with like sitting with the family and with them like quote unquote going back to normal, and the switch between like the family and the shitstorm that's going on physically with Katie, and then the detective who's like actually trying to figure out what's happening, makes it stem a little bit too long for my taste. Like it's 2 hours and 14 minutes long, and I'd say like probably like 10 of those are credits in and of themselves. But it's just like it felt a little bit too long with that, and then the ending there was a great place where they could have ended that movie, and they kept fucking going, and I was like, son of a bitch. But like at the end, Katie's mom shows up, drugs the I don't know anybody's fucking names, but drugs Layla's mom, and then Charlie gets wheeled in by the detective. Like he's possessed. We already realized that because he like essentially offered up his body to this demon, whatever. And clearly they're going to transfer said demon to Layla's mom. And it would have been great if it ended with the detective closing the door and that's how they ended the movie, but instead it drags like a long shot away from the door as you listen to like the detective saying the words of like what to say to possess, like essentially transfer the spirit of the demon. And I didn't like that. It's like we know from him showing up and the detective literally saying you or no, I think it's Katie's mom literally saying like you know what happens after this, that like we know what happens after this. And so I don't like the part where it's like we still had to go and listen to at least some of the words. It's like I know what's happening, like don't I don't know. I felt like I felt insulted by the ending a little bit, being like, are you treating me like I'm a fucking idiot? Like, I'd know what's happening, so why are you continuing to go along with it? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But that was like probably like my biggest gripe was that like it had a perfect place to end it, and then it kept going to the point where I felt insulted, like feeling like the writers think that I'm a dumbass or something like that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like if you have like some semblance of like, like a comprehensible audience, like they're gonna figure it out what's gonna happen to this woman. So I didn't really like that. There were a couple things here and there. There's just stuff that like from the fact that it's such a long movie that it's like you could take things out here and there. Like the professor had no point in being in this movie. Like it's I guess in a way it's a reveal to Charlie and to the audience. I mean, the audience kind of already knew that she was probably possessed by some form of demon, but like to Charlie specifically that Katie's possessed by a demon. But then he sort of takes that information and doesn't do anything with it. And so that's where I'm like, you could have cut that entire professor spiel out and then just had the detective come in and describe everything that's happening. And I think I would have preferred it that way. Like, I guess there's like some knowledge between the two. Like, when she says the words, like the name of, I think it's the name of the demon, but like the name of the demon. And I think, like, I guess in a way, like the connection between that is fine, but like it didn't work for me. It just felt I don't know. I feel like there are just ways to make this movie shorter. Like I think that what they added in just like wasn't enough to justify the such long runtime for a horror movie, and it just like didn't work for me. This sounds very negative, but I did overall like really enjoy this movie. Like it's definitely like it takes inspiration from definitely the like I wouldn't necessarily say what Lee Cronin's worked on because I haven't seen anything that he's done, but like James Wan and Jason Blum produced this movie. It very much gives off the vibe of a Conjuring movie. It very much gives off the vibe of a Blumhouse movie, and I like it that way. It's like, with those like Atomic Monster and Blumhouse connected to this movie, like it's probably going to be a pretty good horror movie, and it was like it's creepy. It's fucking gross. This movie's fucking gross. Like it is the special effects makeup is phenomenal. Like the just oh my god, it's so gross and I love it. Like I was like this is a nasty movie and it looks so real too, like especially with like Katie's face looks so like she's constantly covered in a sheet mask and her skin just looks disgusting, and then you realize at the end that it's like that's not actually her skin. It's like essentially like pieces of paper that have been written on that have been like essentially melding into her skin for the last 8 years, but it looks so good. Like it's just that looks amazing. There's just like there's too many shots of feet in this movie, which I hate. But like there's a really great scene where like her mom is cutting her toenails and is those toenails are disgusting. I don't like feet. I don't want to see people's feet, and this just harked back into that. I don't want to see people's feet. But like there's like a great scene where her mom's cutting her toenails and then like accidentally essentially like rips off her own child's like skin because of it. It's very like the paper thin skin that you see on like older people. I work in a location where I talk to and interact with a lot of older people, but it's very like that paper thin skin thing that rips super duper easily, and it's just I see that I'm like, bleh, but it was like it was great. It was gross, but it was great. That's what I loved about it is it's like it's not like over the top nasty either. Like all of it works within the film. It's just like it sort of shows you sort of like I don't know, like I guess in a way like the things that Katie's currently going through, but then other things to show you like what's going wrong with people, like uh the little girl. I want to say her name's Maud, but I don't think that's right. But like her like literally ripping out her own teeth, which is hit gross. But like doing that, or just like the I mean the original mummy that we see at the beginning of the film also just looks really really good. Like it looks like a dead mummified corpse, and it works really well. The special effects makeup in this movie is amazing, like absolutely phenomenal. I like that a good chunk of this movie takes place like in one location, although we do dink around in other places, but I like that for the most part it's one location. I will say that the intro to this movie honestly kind of reminds me of The Curse of La Llorona, which is not a it's not a good thing to say. Although the beginning of that movie isn't that bad, but like it definitely gave off those vibes. I don't know why, but I thought of it like when Katie gets kidnapped. I was like, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of The Curse of La Llorona right now. But I don't know. I felt like I had to say that. The child actors in this movie are fantastic. Like both, like the younger version of Katie, she's pretty good. Older version of Katie is phenomenal. She does a great job in this movie. The character who plays the little girl, or the actress who plays the little girl, she's great. I laughed out loud when she called her teacher a cunt. I was just like, oh my god, that's fucking funny. I loved that actor. She was amazing. Even Seb's actor was also really really good. Like he very much does a really great job at sort of like definitely being I wouldn't necessarily say that he does a good job about playing the spare, but it's like he very much blames his missing sister for the reasons why he doesn't have a lot of opportunities. Obviously, they try and like put that up at the beginning with like him wanting to go on this trip to Europe and his mom saying no and him being like like I'm not my sister, I'm not going to go missing. But like he's like a pretty decent kid still. Like he very much cares about his little sister. They both kind of realize that like hey, Katie's creepy as fuck. But like they also like want to give their parents some grace, being like that their parents haven't seen their child in 8 years. Or Maud's really great in the fact that like she's literally never met her older sister. So I do think that's really interesting. But even when like he gets possessed, like he does a great job of like basically hunting his mom down with a metal bat. Like it's great. Like the child actors in this movie are fantastic. And I really liked that. I was just overall pleasantly surprised by the whole movie. I didn't have a lot of expectations other than like given from the trailers that I had seen, it was like The Mummy meets The Exorcist, and it very much still I wouldn't necessarily say that it meets The Exorcist now that I've watched it. I'd say The Mummy meets The Conjuring, is how I describe it. The Mummy meets The Conjuring mixed with the, like, professor getting information about an ancient demon plot from Sinister. Like those three combined. So basically, a bunch of movies that James Wan and Jason Blum have worked on before. So I'd describe that. But I just, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I generally liked it. Is it a great movie? Like, I would say that I liked it. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again. Like, it wasn't bad, but it's definitely like, it was a one and done for me personally. Like, I enjoyed it. I don't think I would add it to the shelf, in my opinion. So, that says I own over like 200 movies, so if that says anything, I would not add it to the shelf, but I think it was pretty decent. I think I like the way that it goes. It's a very intense movie, which I honestly wasn't expecting, but I like how intense it is at the same time. I think it works really, really well for the story of like one thing that I am glad they put in, because there's the part where the detective sees the tape on what happens to Katie, but then the audience doesn't see it. And I was like, are these cowards not gonna show me what's on this fucking tape? And then they do, and it's a lot. Like, it is intense. It is a lot. And I was like, yes, these cowards, like, they were not cowards. They did in fact show me what was on this fucking tape, which I liked. Like, it's, and that did help with like the actress who plays young Katie being like, she's doing a great job, because like that is a shared, like a scared shitless child right there. And I thought that that was great and stuff like that. I do have the question of, this is a weird logistical question. I can't argue too much because I still own one. Well, my parents still have one. But how many people in this day and age still have a VHS player? It's like my family still has a VHS player because we still have a lot of VHS tapes. But I'm like, I gotta be honest. I don't know how many families these days still own VHS players. It's like a general logistical question that I had while watching that scene. I was like, did she did the detective bring her own VHS player? Like, did they somehow miraculously still own one? Like, given it's the grandma's house, so maybe she still owned a VHS player, but it was like legit a logistical question that I had. I was like, man, if they didn't own a VHS player, they would have been fucked. But I thought that was crazy. Yeah, that was wild. Now I'm just like thinking of the detective who literally had to like hold her own vocal cords together to be able to say those words. That was crazy. Yeah, that was my thing. Is that they like, I was very curious to see how they were gonna end this movie, because I was like, well, we watched the ritual, but can you still do it? Turns out you can. I think they sort of like BS'd their way into that a little bit. I think they were just kind of like, we have a great plot. How are we gonna end it? And they were like, yeah, that you can just say the words and then figure out the rest later. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. So that is very curious. I don't know. I felt like the actual conclusion to the story was a little rushed. This felt more. Now that I think about it, I don't know how much I liked this movie. No, I still liked it a decent amount, but I definitely was like, I have some gripes, and like the gripes are like they sound very big, especially because I think I spent like the first 5 minutes complaining about this movie. But it's like overall, it's still a really good movie. It's just that like the random logistical questions. It was just the ending that I like didn't like, because it felt rushed. Like, this movie felt a little bit too long for my taste, and then it felt rushed towards the ending, and like they didn't quite know how to end it. And then it's just sort of like the logistical question of just like how they managed to figure out what to do from a VHS tape. I mean, that's what the tape was made for in the first place, but it was just like, I don't know. I feel like you'd need specific things and embalming fluids that are very specific. I don't know. I was just, that's just my thoughts on this. But yeah, I think those are all my thoughts on this movie. Probably. Let me know if you saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy and what you thought of it. Like I said, like overall I was pleasantly surprised. It's good. Would I see it again? Probably not. But I liked it. So there's that. But yeah, like, subscribe. Bye bye.